Culture Uncut. This is Culture Uncut. This is Culture Uncut. I am your host, Jason Spears, and Colt fans, we've got a lot to talk about. This is Culture Uncut. I am your host, Jason Spears, recording after a 38-30 Indianapolis Colts loss in the final game of the season to the Houston Texans, in a game in which the Colts had the lead multiple times and could not hold on. Also a game in which the Colts basically played the second-string Houston Texans in the second half and were outscored 15-13 by their second string. So the season wraps up with the Colts finishing 8-9, but even worse than that, 2-4 in the division. This team is never going to see a playoff game until they can win in this division. And they cannot win in this division. Since Shane Steichen has been the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, the Colts' record versus the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans is 2-10. That is not going to get it done. I don't care what the excuses are. That is the bottom line. The best way to get into the playoffs is to win your division and win divisional games, and going 2-4 is not good enough. So that is thing one. Thing two, the positive I took out of this game, despite I think some people were overreacting to his performance, but Riley Leonard looked functional. He finished 21-34 for 270 yards, 7.9 average, and 2 touchdowns, a pick, a really, really bad pick. And he was sacked once for 8 yards, a 94 overall rating. Really a solid job by him. I did not expect him to play that well, but I also did not expect Houston to bench their starters in the second half, and they did. So there's that. But I thought he did a lot of really good things. He found Pierce on that busted coverage early. He kept going to Pierce. Pierce had a huge game until he was disqualified on a ridiculous call. He was clearly just talking to the guy. I've never seen anything like that before. Pierce, 4 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns with a long of 66. Outstanding game by him. And, you know, his number just keeps going up. The Colts are either going to have to franchise, if the Colts cannot get a long-term deal done with him, they have to franchise him. He's too important. He is wide receiver 1. I think you saw in this game the difference between Alec Pierce and Michael Pittman. When plays are there to be made, Alec Pierce makes them, and when plays are there to be made for Michael Pittman, he does not. And that's sad, and he's making like $30 million next year, so I would be on board with the Colts looking to trade that contract and go younger at receiver, maybe get back some draft equity. I don't know what that would be with Mike Pittman, but I like Pitt, but it's just too much money. Maybe they restructure, push the money back. Maybe they extend him and push the money back. There's a lot of ways to skin a cat with this cap situation. But Chris Ballard usually doesn't do those things. He does not usually cut veterans, and he doesn't usually restructure veterans and push money and defer it. So I don't know what they're going to do. First things first, they have to figure out what is going to happen with their general manager. I think we're all on the same page here. It's been long enough he has to go. Whether or not that is the case remains to be seen. There's been reports that he is back. That's the thought process, that people around the league think he's going to be back. Until that's announced, I was told it was 50-50. No decision, no black and white decision had been made that she's going to take everything into consideration. So I'd expect her to take a couple days to figure this out and then announce it one way or the other. And I genuinely don't know. The intellectual and logical part of me says he's gone, but then the Colt part of me says he's going to be back. So that's a big question going into the off season. But back to Riley Leonard, he played better than I thought. He's certainly limited in some ways. You know, he had the bad fumble and the bad pick, but for a first game, I thought he was fine. better than I anticipated. I'm not ready to crown. As a joke, I tweeted out QB1, and it was a ridiculous amount of people that thought I was serious. I think he's got a chance to be a really solid backup quarterback. I thought the offense looked like a functional offense, like what's supposed to look like when a guy's running it. I'm not sure it ever looked that functional for that extended of an entire game with Richardson. My thing with Richardson is if he could stay healthy, let's roll with Richardson, right? You guys have listened to this show. I'm all about rocking with AR5, man. I've defended him for all the things that have gone on, and I still think he's got a ton of talent. He's only 23 years old, maybe 24 now. He's still got the world at his fingertips. The thing with him is, and it simply comes down to this, I do think he can get better. I do think that he can learn what he needs to learn. I do think he can be a good quarterback in this league. What I don't know is if he can stay on the field, because he's been in this league 3 years, and going back to high school, I don't think he's had a year where he wasn't injured and missed games. That's a problem, because I've said it, and it's cliche, and I don't really like cliches, but the best ability is availability, and he just has not had it. And so I would be perfectly fine going into a season with Daniel Jones, AR, and Riley as our quarterbacks, and then have Riley and AR battle it out to see who starts the season, because maybe Daniel Jones isn't ready or whatever. I think that's the best case scenario, honestly. I don't want to go another route with the quarterbacks, because Willis, while I like him, I just think having somebody that's been in the system already, and this all depends on what happens. If Steichen's gone, then all this is out the window. But anyway, that's what I would do, because I still believe in AR if he can stay on the field. I do. I believe in the talent. But I also believe in Daniel Jones, and I also think that Riley showed something, because he did. He ran the offense well. They scored 30 points. Yes, it was against the second team for the second half, but he scored 17 in the first half, and that was against their first string. So, he showed me a lot. And yes, I said he was going to have a horrible game. I was wrong. People seem to think I have a problem admitting when I'm wrong, but if you've listened to this podcast, I've been wrong a million times. I am the type of person that would rather be wrong 100% of the time if it benefits the Colts, because that's all that I care about. Winning is simply all I care about. So I want Riley Leonard to turn into Tom Brady or whatever. I want him to be the best quarterback in the NFL if that can happen. I just don't see it from what I've seen. I've watched all his college games, Duke, and then Notre Dame. I've watched him in the little amount he's played in the NFL. Do I think he's a quarterback one candidate? No, but I do think he's shown me enough to compete for quarterback two. And that is, if you can get a solid quarterback two in the 6th round, that's a good thing. He certainly played a lot better today than I thought. And outside the turnovers, which I did say, rightly so, would be an issue because he's learning on the job, he played fine without, the 2 turnovers, 10 points off the turnovers, not the greatest. But my bigger issue with this game, an overall reaching issue with this team, is they have nothing in their front 7. Nothing. Forget about the offense. They scored 30 points. They should have won the game. The defense, I'm going to look at these stats right now. We had no sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits out of 32 dropbacks. We had 2 hits. That's insane. They didn't do much better. They had 1 sack and 3 quarterback hits, but they are also playing backups. We were playing our best friggin' players. Look, our front 7 is just not athletic enough. It's not fast enough. It doesn't read and react fast enough, and they don't make any plays. At the end of the day, you've got to have somebody like Darius Leonard or Bobby Okereke or somebody like that that's a playmaker, that's going to run down plays, play downhill, play fast. We don't have that. That is my biggest issue. Like, we have nothing, like, outside of Latu, which I still think he's got room to grow. He looked horrific today. There was 2 plays where he literally couldn't keep his feet and falling down all over the field. And there was another play where a guy knocked him down and essentially he was crawling around on the ground for 5 seconds. But I still believe there's something in there with him. He's gotten better each year, which is what you want. I think they need to bring in a D-line coach that knows how to coach edge rushers, especially. I don't know what's available, but obviously with the guy going to Notre Dame or Penn State, wherever the hell that guy went, they need to find somebody else. The only guys on the roster that'll be back next year right now are JTT and Latu. So they're going to have to sign maybe a guy like Kuntz or somebody, a buy low guy in free agency like they did with Autry, maybe somebody that hasn't gotten a real shot to play a lot, and hope that hits, and then also draft somebody. Because if they don't, they're going to be bad next, and they've got to get a linebacker that can run sideline to sideline, that's explosive, that can run plays down, that makes plays, a playmaking linebacker. That has to be a must. We have it. Look, Zaire's not good enough. He tackles guys. That's it. He doesn't force fumbles. He doesn't make big plays. He's not a game changer, effector of the game. So they need to get rid of him. I like Pratt, but let's just get some new young blood in there. If I want to watch guys tackle guys 10 yards down the field, I would rather it be a young guy that makes a mistake and is chasing down a guy from behind making a play, instead of like a guy just running into our linebacker. And it just, fundamentally, our defense is just atrocious. And I know I saw a lot of people blaming Lou. I don't blame Lou. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how great you are at your job, and he's very good at his job. If you don't have good players, you're not going to be able to coordinate a successful defense. You tell me where the good players are. Our linebackers are terrible. Our edge rushers are terrible. Our defensive tackles are not playing very well. Our corners are bad because we're hurt. And then, obviously, that kills the team. When you can't get any pressure on a quarterback, I don't care who your defensive coordinator is, it's not going to matter. And I don't care who you got playing outside. Like, you have to find a way to get to the quarterback. And it's not, and I see people saying, oh, he's just sitting in soft zone. No, he's not. He's blitzing, he's disguising, he's doing everything possible. None of it's working because he doesn't have any talent. It worked earlier in the year because we were healthier, and also, obviously, we were playing much worse teams, but the guys were executing better, and you had a healthy DeForest Buckner out there, Grover. They were just playing better, and now they're not. And the longer that you see those lines, and it's age. The longer these guys are on the field, and they were on the field a ton in a lot of these games, they get run down. And when you have no depth, which we don't have, that's going to be a major problem. So the Colts have a major problem with their defense. Their offense, since Steichen has been there, has been top 15 every year, top 10 this year. But their defense has got to be better in every way. Especially with just pressures. Pressure is the name of the game. Watch a Brian Flores defense. That is the name of the game. Yeah, you're going to give up yards, but if you stay on their ass and pressure constantly and bring heat and you're going to get some turnovers and guys are going to make plays. But you've got to trust the guys to get there. And we're just so damn old and slow. So this defense needs to be remade in the offseason. I don't know. I don't want any more over-the-hill guys. They need to go young. Edge guys. I've looked at the spot track and who's available. There's some guys in their mid-20s. I would look and try to see if they have traits that could possibly turn into pass rushers. Because what we have right now is just retread after retread that have shown us year after year they're not good enough. We need to try something different. But yeah, the linebacking core, Pratt's done a solid job, but Zaire, I think you've got to trade. Um, I don't know, guys. To me, it's the front seven is just the biggest problem with this team. I think you need to start drafting this year for Grover and Buck's replacements. So in my mocks, I've been looking at defensive tackles, 3 techs and 1 techs for this offense, or excuse me, for the defense, so that they can, if not play next year a lot, they can at least sub in, and you'll at least be getting those guys experience. And so, yeah, we need edge, we need linebackers, we need strong safety. There's a kid out of Toledo I love that I would love for them to get if they don't re-sign Nick Cross to play strong safety. He's more of a box safety, 6'3", 4'5", big guy, really good player for Toledo. But yeah, I'm already digging into the draft and looking at guys. The Colts have got to have a good draft this year. And you can still have a good draft without a first-round pick. They just got to be diligent with their work and trust their eyes and figure this shit out. But the first thing that has to be done is Ballard the decision has to be made, and I think quickly, because if you move on from him quickly, then you can go right to interviewing guys and get the show on the road. You don't want to wait. You want to make the announcement as soon as you know. It cannot be a waiting game, because you want to get the best guys for the job, the best interviews, most interviews you can possibly get, and go from there. But as far as this game goes, I thought Riley was good. And another guy I want to apologize to, Blake Grupe, man. 100% since they signed him. They got a real kicker. I would re-sign him, and because who knows if Schrader's going to be ready. And I'm really impressed with Grupe. He came in here and he hasn't missed, kicked a 60-yard field goal to set a Colt record. And I like Schrader a lot too. But man, Grupe looks good. Really good again today. 3 field goals, long of 50, 3 extra points. I was wrong about him, man. He's done an outstanding job. He might have been the most valuable player the last half of the season, the way he kicked. I mean, the Seahawks game and all, this game, and I mean, he's been outstanding. So, we went into the season not knowing if we would have any kickers, and then we get Schrader, and then Badgley goes, and we're like, oh, great, now we're screwed at kicker. Well, we might have 2, or, you might have to make a decision, because Grupe looks like the real deal, and I know that we signed Spencer to 2 years, so maybe you have a kicking competition and take the cheapest one, which I think would be Grupe, because he's not coming off an injury. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. It's not super important, but one other thing I wanted to touch on, and I think I touched on it a little bit online, and I've mentioned it before, but I think the end is near for a guy that I really like. I think he's a tough guy, a really good player, but he's making $29 million next year, and that guy's Michael Pittman Jr. He had 2 drops in this game, did not look good at all. Looks like him and Zaire don't want to be a part of this the way they're playing, so let's, I don't think Pitt really feels that way, but I would certainly reach out to teams that are, proven wide receiver deficient. So like maybe the Chiefs or the Bills or some other teams, and try to play them against each other and maybe get like how high you can get them to go for a pick. Because I just think he's just not worth the money. I mean, he's a good player, but for that money, and Pierce is superior to me. He doesn't have mental lapse drops. He makes enormous plays. He's wide receiver 1. We have to get him back. Pierce is the most important guy. I would franchise him if they don't get a deal done with Pierce. I'm absolutely putting the franchise tag on him until we can get a deal done. That's how important I think Pierce is to whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Riley, whether it's AR, or whether it's Jones. So that's the must-sign guy, and if it, and I just want the Colts, whether it's Ballard or somebody else, to recognize this isn't working on defense, and some of these guys are overpaid. You need to get something for them, and keep the young talent and the talent that's still evolving, but the talent that's either plateaued or you're overpaying and not getting enough, dividends for it, make trades, release guys, push cap money back, redo contracts, extensions, whatever you got to do to clear some money off the books so we can go get some and add some free agent players, not necessarily big name players, but guys that can help. Depth role players, because I don't think you're going to see a lot of edge rushers be available, and the ones that are going to be highly sought after, and I don't think we have the money to do it. I think you're going to have to go, bargain bin and try to buy low and hit on a couple of these guys. I would like to see JTT get more play. I thought I saw some flashes out of him this year, and Latu's just got to keep getting better, man. He can't disappear. He's got to be in every game and be a factor in every game. For where we drafted him at and what Chris Ballard thought he would be, he's got to affect the game more. So that's something that has to happen going forward. But the front seven needs to get younger. They have to play faster. They're just too slow. And that's my big takeaway from this season. The defense wilted down the stretch because they were tired, beat up, and there was no depth. So we'll see what happens, but I just wanted to come on and kind of sum up the game. I thought it was a perfect ending to the game. They give the Colts the lead. Groupie gives them the lead. The Texans immediately go down and get a field goal, like the defense isn't even on the field. And then we get the ball, we have one play, and we fumble it, and they return it for a touchdown. That was the last play of our season. Pretty much microcosm of our season. Just you thought we had it, but then we immediately gave it up, and then when we had a chance to do something else, we made it worse. So, really great metaphor for the way the season ended. I just want to thank you guys for all the support this year. It's been a really rough year as far as we're on the top of the mountain after 8 weeks, and now we're at the point where I'm using Frank Reich metaphors. But anyway, now we're back in a ditch again. So, but I wouldn't rather do it with anybody else but you guys. I love this community. I love the fans. Even when we disagree, it's all good. Hopefully something will change this week, but even if it doesn't, I appreciate everybody for listening and being here. It's almost like therapy after these games. It's just frustration and you're angry, and I get it, and but I try to take something positive out of every game, and I thought this game Riley played well, or at least better than I thought. I thought the O-line did a decent job blocking for him. I thought Pierce was a dog, and I thought Groupie was good. The defense was just horrid. And they have been pretty much, well, they were all right last week, but they've alternated weeks. They were horrid in Jacksonville, then they were okay against Houston, and then horrid against, who did we play after that? No, then they were good. I'm mixing this all up. It doesn't matter. They've just played 3 horrid defensive games down the stretch. I think it was Jacksonville, San Francisco in this game. And that can't happen. And when you're playing important games, when your defense is supposed to be better than this. So yeah, I appreciate you guys. I'll have a lot of draft stuff coming up. I don't know how soon you're going to want to hear about any of that. I'm sure some of you guys are going to want to take a break from this team, and I don't blame you. But I'll be on the case. I'll be covering whatever happens with Ballard, whatever happens with the team. I'm all in, man. This is what I've known my entire life since 1983. I went to my first game. My first game was, I think, Dan Marino's first road game. It was in a driving rainstorm in Baltimore, in which the Colts lost 21-7. Marino threw a couple touchdowns. It was, I think the game's actually on YouTube if you look it up. There's like 20,000 people there. Horrible game, but I got to see Dan Marino play, so it's cool. But yeah, I mean, I've been through the ringer with this team. I mean, 4-win seasons, 3-win seasons, 1-win seasons. So as bad as this is, I've been through worse. I'll get through this, and so will you guys. You just got to hang in there. I know you're frustrated. I don't blame you, but I'm just going to ride it out, man. I do the best I can. I try to support the team, try to support the players by doing this show and being a conduit to the fan base, and also, listening to you guys, and I appreciate the comments that you guys leave and the time you take to listen. I don't ever take that for granted, and I know I say it all the time, but that's why I do this. I do this because I know the fans want somebody that's like-minded, that will come on here and speak the truth, or what I think is the truth, in my opinion, or whatever. And I do that for you guys. So don't expect anything to change. As long as I'm walking this earth, I'm always going to keep it real about this team. And, hopefully we can get AR healthy next year, and Riley healthy, and bring back Jones, and maybe Riley and AR fight it out to see who starts week 1, and if DJ isn't ready, and go from there. But it's not going to matter if we do not get our defense fixed. That has to be the number one thing on Chris Ballard or whoever is running this team's itinerary, because the offense is fine. Like, the offensive line will be fine. They do need some depth. The skill players are fine. I'd like to see Giddens step up a little bit more next year. He definitely looked better in this game. Still only averaged 3.8 a carry, but that was much better than Taylor, who might have had his worst game as a pro. Let me look here. I think he had 14 carries for 26 yards, 1 point. I mean, that was bad. They didn't run the ball well. But, I mean, Giddens got to get better. I really liked one of Goodson and Abdullah. It would be nice to have one of them back, because I do think they give a different look to the offense. But the offense isn't the problem. Doolin, I love Doolin as a special teams guy. The defense for me is the problem. The Colts can win next year with the offense that they're going to have. They could be a playoff team. But is the defense going to be playoff level? That's the question. And the only way you're going to find that out, or that you're going to learn that it is if you change your personnel, because this personnel is trash. Absolute trash. So that's what I've learned over the past few games, and hopefully whoever is in charge will see that and make some changes, and we can move forward with at least a chance to make the playoffs next year. But we have to see what happens with Ballard and all that first. So that wraps up the final game of the season. The Colts finish 8-9 and 2-4 in the AFC South. Another atrocious divisional record. Steichen falls to 2-10 against the Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars. That is awful. So, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for listening. Leave your comments on the off-season, what you want to hear. Do you want me to do player breakdowns that are coming into the draft? Where do you think the team's going to go? Leave any comments you want in the comment section. You guys know I'll try to respond to everything. And I will absolutely be back as soon as some news breaks as far as the Colts, whatever it is. If it's Ballard's coming back, Ballard's not coming back, Carly is holding a presser, whatever, I will absolutely be back to give you guys my take, as I always do. Shout out to the fans, man. You guys have been put through hell, and you're some of the most loyal people I know, and you deserve better. We all deserve better, and hopefully that's on the way. Because, this has been 10 years. It's enough, man. It's been enough. It needs to be over. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. Thanks for listening. Again, Colts lose it late, 38-30 to the Houston Texans, who will go on to play either at Baltimore or at Pittsburgh. And just a side note, I wouldn't want to have to play either Houston or Jacksonville in the playoffs. I think both of those teams could easily go to the AFC Championship game. So, a little side note there. Do you guys want me to cover the playoffs? Let me know that too. I can cover the playoffs if you want me to. But anyway, long-winded. Sorry, I get long-winded sometimes. Again, appreciate you guys listening. Thank you for all the support. This has been Culture Uncut with your host, Jason Spears.